Hi, my name is Alexandra. And here's my sad life story. I used to believe love was a straight line. A beginning, a steady middle, and then the soft hush of growing old together. With Michael it began that way. College sweethearts turned dependable spouses. We built a life on predictability. He brewed the coffee at 6:45 every morning. I folded his shirts like origami. We knew how to function. But somewhere between the grocery lists and silent dinners, I began to forget how I felt when we first met. I don't think he noticed. Or maybe he did and just chose silence over conflict, his favorite kind of peace. Then there was Julian. He wasn't a storm, not at first. More like a warm draft from a window left open in spring. It started with conversation. About books. Music. His laugh came easily and it made me laugh too, something I hadn't done in months without effort. With Julian, I remembered the version of myself that once danced in the kitchen barefoot, wild and careless. I never meant to step across the line. I told myself that a drink wasn't betrayal, that a shared cab ride meant nothing. But hearts don't know how to keep secrets even when lips try. And when the moment came, cloaked in candlelight and hesitation, it wasn't passion that surprised me. It was relief. Like exhaling after holding your breath too long. Afterward, I stood by the window of his apartment, watching headlights blur into each other. Guilt didn't arrive immediately. It crept in later during small, everyday rituals, like brushing my teeth beside Michael, or when he reached for my hand in the supermarket and I flinched ever so slightly. Now every morning feels like a lie rehearsed in the mirror. I wait for him to see it, the distance I've placed between us. I wait for myself to forget Julian's scent. Neither has happened. I don't know how to stay. Not here where I must smother the truth in small smiles. Not there where desire drowns in uncertainty. I've carved out a no man's land between the life I chose and the one I accidentally found, and now I wander it barefoot with bleeding feet. The days blend now. Mornings pass in a hush, the kind that sounds like waiting. Michael still brings me coffee, still asks how I slept, but there's a quiet calculation in his eyes. He's not stupid. He's gentle, which is worse. I see the question on his face sometimes as he watches me butter toast with too much care. He doesn't ask it aloud, he never has, but I feel it in the pause before he leaves for work. Are you still mine? I pretend I don't notice. Julian's texts arrive like ripples in still water. Small, persistent reminders that there's a world outside this one. He doesn't ask me to choose. He only says he misses me. Misses my voice. My laugh. The way I tilt my head when I'm lost in thought. He doesn't know I've been sleeping in the guest room for weeks now. That I sit on the floor some nights, wrapped in a blanket, trying to remember who I am without either of them. Michael touched my back yesterday as he walked past me in the kitchen. Just a brush of his fingers, absent-minded, habitual. I felt my whole body flinch as if I'd been caught doing something wrong. Maybe I had. Maybe I still am. Guilt isn't loud. It's quiet like static. Like a song you can't turn off. And then tonight. He looked up from the dinner table and said with no warning, no lead-in. You're somewhere else when you look at me. Where do you go? I didn't lie. But I didn't answer either. My fork froze mid-air. A long pause. Then I stood up and started clearing the plates, my hands trembling against porcelain. I don't know how to stay. Not with Michael, who deserves truth. Not with Julian, who offers escape but no foundation. Not even with myself, because I no longer trust the silence inside me. I want to be held. I want to be forgiven. I want to disappear. All at once. Maybe this is what it means to break. Not loudly, not with drama. But quietly. Beautifully. Like ice under warm hands. The sky broke open today. Rain like confession. I sat in the car outside the house long after I'd turned off the engine. The windshield was streaked with water, the world beyond it blurred, like my thoughts. I could see the front porch light glowing. Michael always turns it on if I'm late. I never asked him to. He just does. Inside that house is the life we built. The framed photos. The laundry I forgot to fold. The dinner I didn't prepare. I know where every drawer squeaks, where the floor groans near the bedroom door. It's a house of memory. And silence. But I didn't go in. I just sat there, rain drumming on the roof, my hands still gripping the wheel. I stared at my own reflection in the dark glass. Eyes rimmed red, mouth drawn tight. I barely recognized her. This version of me who lives between choices. I had seen Julian that afternoon. Not for long. Just a walk. He said something small and kind, something Michael used to say before the air between us turned cold. But it didn't fill the void. It only reminded me how large it had grown. "I'll wait," Julian said. "But don't stay because you're afraid to go." Now here I am, stuck again in the quiet after. I finally stepped inside. Michael was reading in the living room, one hand curled around a mug. He looked up. His eyes met mine. I saw it there, an ache too familiar, too resigned. "I didn't ask before," he said quietly. "But I will now. Is there someone else?" The world paused. There was no way to say it without hurting him. And still the truth came, not like a scream but a whisper I couldn't hold back. There was. He didn't speak, just closed his eyes like bracing for a wave. And in that moment I realized, there is no undoing, no clean exit, no brave decision that doesn't wound someone. Later I stood alone in our bedroom, bags still unpacked, clothes folded but purposeless. I didn't know where I was going, just that I couldn't keep standing still. I don't know if I'm choosing Julian, or leaving them both behind. All I know is, I'm walking out of the house tomorrow morning with nothing but a set of keys and a heart half full and half shattered. There is no right place for me right now, only forward, and that will have to be enough. I left just before sunrise. The world was still sleeping when I closed the front door behind me. No goodbyes, no note. Just the sound of the latch clicking into place. A sound I've heard 1,000 times but never like this. It echoed. I didn't go to Julian's. He had offered sanctuary, a place to land softly. But I needed a place where I could fall without expectation. I booked a room in a small hotel on the edge of town, the kind with scratchy towels and humming mini fridges, where no one knew my name. All day I walked through streets that meant nothing to me. I bought coffee I didn't drink, watched children chase pigeons, felt sunlight warm my skin like forgiveness I didn't believe I deserved. Julian called. Twice. I didn't answer. I couldn't. He wasn't a mistake, but he wasn't the answer either. Maybe he had only been a mirror, one that showed me what I had buried under routines and silence. Michael didn't call. That hurt more. That night I lay on the stiff hotel bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning in lazy circles. I thought about how love changes. How sometimes it doesn't die, it just forgets how to speak. I thought about the vows we whispered so confidently, unaware of how quiet betrayal can be. Not loud or violent, just a slow drifting, a looking away. I'm not proud. I am not blameless. But I am awake now. Fully. The truth is, I don't know where this leads. Maybe to a new life. Maybe to regret. Maybe back to Michael one day, not as his wife but as someone honest. Maybe alone. But what I do know is this. I will not live in the space between anymore. No more waiting rooms. No more rehearsed smiles. I want to live in rooms where my name means something to me. Even if that name is just my own. And so I sleep for the first time in weeks without pretending.